Rock, give us a sense of what it was like as Oregon just put it on Florida State in this game.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I just listened to Jimbo Fisher, and you guys listened to him too, and the same thing with Jameis Winston, and said that they were in it, and they beat themselves, and it was because of the turnovers. Yeah, it was because of turnovers. They also couldn't score touchdowns when they got in the red zone, but they could not keep up with the pace of Oregon. When you see it here, we were up high in the press box, and even media members from all over the country were like, that's the fastest offense that I've ever seen. There were times where we would watch a play, you look up to the monitor to watch the replay, and you look down, you already missed a play. You could see that players were gassed on FSU's side. Now, one defensive guy that played in the NFL, and he tweeted me, and I think this is great, and it hasn't been brought up yet. When players on defense get tired, then comes the missed tackling. And you could kind of see that with Mariota, some of the long runs by Oregon, the yards after the catch. FSU is known for having a very good defense. They did not miss a lot of tackles during the regular season. They were missing them today, and that was because of that pace. They were gassed in that third quarter and especially later in the game. And I think, honestly, I've never seen anything. And, Pat, you've been around a long time. I've never seen plays go off that fast, and with efficiency.
And, Rock, I think another thing, Jimbo Fisher mentioned in his press conference, we played Clemson and we played Oregon. Yeah. We play teams that go at this pace. Well, Clemson has Deshaun Watson, a young quarterback. When they played Auburn last year, it was Nick Marshall, who was still young, learning that system. The trigger man for Oregon, Marcus Mariota, may very well be the best quarterback in the country. What were your impressions of watching him in person?
Man, you hit it on the head because, look, Scott Frost is the offensive coordinator. He's up there calling the plays. Now, we talked to him earlier in the week. He was telling us they got to make a decision within 1 to 2 seconds. And there are times where Frost doesn't even have time to get the play down. Mariota already has the play gone, and it's always the right call. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying, yeah, it's the system, but there are a lot of quarterbacks that could not play in that system that fast. And that's the other thing. Mariota is hard to bring down. He's also faster than a lot of people give him credit for because he is so good in the pocket. And the FSU defenders were talking about that fact this week. They were saying they had not faced a quarterback, not only one that can make decisions, split-second timing, and make them right 98% of the time, but also when they get out in space, they're hard to bring down. Mariota really is the whole package. And watching him from up high and just seeing, I've never seen anything so fast in my life.
Yeah, to your point, there was a great couple moments in the ESPN broadcast. They went to a quad box. You had 4 different screens, and literally the play is just ending for Oregon, and it takes Scott Frost 2 to 3 seconds, and he's not talking. He's done. The play's already in, so it was really amazing to watch.
Yeah, and it's nice to have a veteran quarterback, Rock, like Mariota. It'll be interesting to see what Oregon does without a Marcus Mariota, but we'll not talk about that. Another thing that I saw, and Rock, you were there, sometimes it was hard to see, big question about losing the first-round draft pick defensive back Olamu from Oregon, who had an ACL injury, and how they handled Jameis Winston. And it really looked to me that they handled the back end of their defense really well, made Jameis Winston check the ball down quite a bit. He had a lot of yards passing, Rock, but really ineffective in the red area.
Yeah, there were times. And you know what? When you're up high like that, we were watching the receivers for FSU were not getting open. A lot of times, when you're looking on TV and you're like, why is he just checking down and hitting these guys underneath? Because the receivers weren't open. Now, I will say this, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but Nick O'Leary had that injury, so he was hampered, and O'Leary is one of his go-to guys, So when you don't have that, that hurts. Where was Rashad Green? He's been another go-to guy all season, only came on as of late. So all in all, give credit to Oregon. They had a game plan, and you know what? Their head coach, he was asked this. We sat in about 4 or 5 different press conferences, and they said, "What is the key?" And he said, saying the same word: attack. We just want to attack. We want to attack. And that's what they did. But defensively, I think they did a fantastic job of taking away those receivers down the field for Winston and company, Pat.
Rock, in the post-game news conference, Jameis Winston didn't want to speculate on his future. He said, I'm focused on the next season, which is going to be playing baseball. I thought that was an interesting observation. Being out there all week, talking to guys in the press box who cover the team week in and week out, is the perception that Winston has played his last college game and he's a lock to go to the draft next year?
Yeah, mostly everybody thinks that. You know, he loves playing two sports, and he said that baseball actually helps him because he gets away from football, and he is a competitor. But he's done. He is done at FSU. Now, the word is that the Buccaneers general manager, Jason Light, and the coaching staff were here. We didn't see him. They were hidden. I know that there was an Orlando reporter that came over to me, and he goes, hey, man, I'm doing live shots all day. Can you get me Jason Light? I said, well, if I see him, I'll let you know. But the word is Jason Light, he can't talk because it would be tampering, because Winston has not declared himself eligible for the NFL draft. I think it is only a mere formality. He's going to make a lot of money, and I heard you guys at the beginning of the show, when you watch him in person up top, he is a pro NFL quarterback. He's strong. He can run when you want to, but he doesn't break down and run. And to his fault, because of his strong arm, and the guys that covered him all year were telling me that he forced too many things this year. He trusts his arm so much that he tries to squeeze things in this year that he didn't do last year, and that was the reason for the interceptions. He had, 17 interceptions this year. 4 of them came in the second half, meaning he made his mistakes and then he also corrected himself. So Jimbo Fisher says he's a great guy. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's more intelligent than the perception of him. He could have gone to Stanford. He was accepted at Stanford. He is intelligent, but he also, there's street smarts and there is book smarts. And I think the street smarts, that has to come. Because if he makes off the field mistakes now, what is it going to be like when he has a lot of money in his pocket, he's got women coming at him, and he's not in an environment on campus where they're looking after him 24/7. But, Pat, you would know. He's got all the tools, doesn't he?
He really does, and we were talking about it earlier. The thing he has also, Rock, is he has an intangible ability to lead and make people around him play that much better. And I think the relationship that Jimbo Fisher and Jameis Winston have is a special one. And you saw how Jameis Winston went up to Jimbo Fisher and said, I love you, coach. And then he said it again. Special relationship there. And Jimbo Fisher did a heck of a job with him, not only winning football games with him and mentoring him, but protecting the Florida State brand. I mean, that's part of Jimbo Fisher's job, and he's gotten kind of some blame of being too pro-Florida State, but that's his job. Jimbo Fisher has done an excellent job. It's really difficult to win 29 games in a row. He's done it there, and maybe they'll continue another streak. But Jameis Winston, as a football player, has some intangible abilities that are special.
When you see those two, John, on the sidelines, I think a lot of times it's just two ultra-competitive guys in Winston and Fisher. And, Rock, I think the perception or the question I want to ask you is, you've had the chance to be around now Winston and Mariota, both of these teams. You've seen them play in person. If you're in the Bucs front office and Tampa Bay has the number 1 pick, so they get their choice, are you taking Winston or are you taking Mariota?
Well, you know what? This week, after listening to Marcus Mariota several times, talking to people in the Oregon organization, those beat writers that cover him day in and day out, and listening to his offensive coordinator, Scott Frost, I said, it's a slam dunk. The kid is a success. But when I was up top today and I was watching, it almost looked like Jameis Winston, I don't know, is he a better fit for the pro game? Now, when I say that, I'm saying for the majority of teams in the offenses they run. If it's a Chip Kelly type offense, boom, you got him. But if you're going to draft him, you better change your offense to fit him because he's never been under center. He's so used to this offense, which he runs so good. I don't know. You guys, what do you think? Do you think, because Chip Kelly, it's a copycat league, but nobody else has copied what Chip Kelly has done so far. So he's the only one running this kind of offense with so many snaps. Do you catch my drift? If you go with Mariota, you better get your system to be in tune with him.
I agree with you totally, Rock.